Good evening, folks. Welcome to Curveball Convos with your boys at Carolina Curveball. We are now 1 week into the 2026 college baseball season. So glad baseball is finally here. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys had a good Valentine's. And I'm thankful to say that my birthday was this weekend as well. So I had a great baseball weekend, great Valentine's, and as well as a great birthday. Boys, how was y'all's weekend? College baseball is here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the first to say it's just fantastic to be back. I really enjoyed watching all the action play out this weekend. Obviously, I wasn't able to be on the show last week on Thursday, but I mean, I was really excited to get into Friday, and then obviously with the weather impacting a lot of things, Saturday was a huge day of college baseball. I mean, just action all over the country, and a lot of crazy things went down. We'll get over a lot of it tonight, but I mean, let's just take in this moment right now because all the baseball is in front of us. I mean, as we know, fellas, it goes by really fast, and we'll be in May and June before we know it. So, just sitting here, on February 16th, just having all the baseball in front of us, it's a really good feeling, and it's just great to be back.
It's great to be back, boys. It's great to be watching baseball, but it's also great to be back with you boys. And tonight, folks, we are missing Colby. He is not able to make it tonight. He is working, but we do have Braxton and Reed. Reed, sir, how was your weekend, man?
It was great. Great that college baseball is back in full swing. As you saw, record crowds for opening weekend for a lot of the teams in the Carolina. So yeah, I'm just really excited that we're back. Looking forward to the first midweek action coming up here tomorrow.
Yes, we are going to have something special this season for the midweek games. We are going to have what is called midweek madness. We're going to want to hear y'all's opinion, y'all's thoughts, who y'all think y'all going to win the games. We're going to have a series of Instagram stories this season on the midweeks to really put an emphasis on that because during the midweeks most of the Carolina teams play each other. So we would like to see and hear what you guys think is going to happen this season and on the midweek. So big emphasis on that. We're going to touch on the midweek later in the show, but first, Braxton, let's bring up the scoreboard, the final scoreboard from Sunday. Um,
Saturday.
yes, Saturday, but posted Sunday morning because Braxton Wake decided to play into the wee hours.
Yeah, I mean, the Puerto Rico tournament was a
A
bit of
mess.
a mess in
A
terms
mess.
of
Yes.
scheduling and logistics. I mean, obviously, State didn't even get their last game in against Seton
Seton
Hall.
Hall.
So yeah, that was crazy. That Wake was. I mean, I think the first pitch was at like 10:15 or so in the evening. So
Yeah, because I remember because we were texting about making the final scoreboard, and you texted me late Saturday night. Yeah, Wake just threw the first pitch, and I was like, "Excuse me, what?" So we wanted to wait to post this in the morning when everyone was waking up because it was just so late. But first, Reed, let's just kind of touch on NC State to begin with because they did not get to finish did not get to finish their weekend. They did not play the last game for Seton Hall, but 2-0 on the weekend down there in Puerto Rico, which did not have the greatest competition. They did not play the best teams. Washington lost all three games, if I'm not mistaken, Reed, and then NC State handled them and Indiana State pretty well and looked pretty good at the plate.
Yeah, Bargo really fit in well with that offense. Went yard twice this weekend. But yeah, state offense taking care of business. I know it wasn't the best competition. Marone looked well on Friday too. I think he only went for 4 or 5 innings. Most of your top aces this weekend, coaches weren't having them go deep into innings. You were just seeing more like 4 to 5 innings. Kind of just wanted to see what everyone has. But it's a really encouraging start for the pack.
yeah, I agree. Reed State looked really really good in those two games they played. Um, Obviously, like you mentioned, Bargo with a couple of jacks. Frosman had a really really good day as well in their second game. And like you said, just getting Marone out there, basically throwing essentially a bullpen for all these guys this week. Or obviously it's game like real game feel, but the first couple weekends will be lower pitch counts and just getting their feet wet for most programs. Then I thought Duden looked good as well. He pitched on Saturday. against who did they play Saturday? Was it
Indiana State.
Indiana State? Yeah, and they won convincingly in that game as well. So good early going for State, and now they're at home for the next month. We were talking yesterday, Reed. Their schedule. Obviously, they have the big road trip. Well, not road trip, but the big trip to Puerto Rico to start the year. Now they get to play at the Doak for a month straight. So.
Yeah, it's going to be really big for them coming up. I mean, not big for them, but really nice for them coming up playing all of those games at home. The next series that we're going to talk about is Queens and Navy. Queens did get one game. Unfortunately, the Queens Royals are not off to a hot start like we wish they were. The Bonnies and Asheville split. Not sure about St. Bonaventure baseball. Going to be complete transparent, but Asheville did look pretty solid on the plate and on the mound. And App State sweeps Canisius, which Reed, this is a good start for App State. Don't know too much about Canisius. I mean, this is kind of a nice way to start the season, but in a very tough Sun Belt. Excuse me. This is a good start for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, 3-0. Anytime you sweep a team, you're going to build momentum off that. They got Duke coming up tomorrow, who definitely did not look the best this past weekend against Maine. But nevertheless, it's a good start for App State, and we'll see if they can improve upon it this week.
Braxton, do you have any thoughts on App State and Canisius?
Yeah, no, good start for App. Obviously, I expected them to sweep Canisius. I don't think Canisius is too good of a program, historically at least. But yeah, I think Cam Miller is he had a really good day, going 3 for 5 with a couple of doubles and 5 RBIs on Saturday in the first game of their doubleheader. And then I think Gage Peterson, I think his name is the Walter State transfer. He went for 5 innings, one hit ball, no run, 1 hit ball, and with 8 Ks against Canisius as well. So they look like they might have a decent rotation out there. We'll see how they do against Duke in the midweek and who they got next week as well. So one to watch for sure over there in Boone.
100%. And another one to watch this weekend was what happened down there in Greenville as Xavier takes the series from East Carolina. Reed, this Xavier team came in with the plan to attack ECU, jump on them early, and they did. They jumped on Ethan Norby in the first inning with 2-run jack, and honestly just really never looked back in the first and second game. Just had pretty good control of that game and just a really good showing for Xavier. But what does this mean for ECU, Reed?
Look, I mean, as an ECU fellow grad, I mean, it's not the start that I wanted to see. I'm not worried. I mean, you look at the 2022 team, they got swept by Bryant to start the season and then went on to be the number 8 overall national seed. But, what I take away from this weekend, Pirates just really struggled to hit the ball when they needed to run. First game, they go 1 for 16 with runners in scoring position. You're not going to win too many baseball games. Braxton, you can testify for that. I mean, you're really going to struggle to win games when you go 1 for 16. But, Sean Jenkins, there was some takeaways. Sean Jenkins looked really good out of the bullpen on Friday. I think that's really encouraging. I think eventually, I've told you in the past case and over the past few weeks, I think he will eventually work his way into the weekend rotation. Colby Weber looked good too. Van Kippen was solid. I'm not worried about Norby. He didn't pitch most of the fall. First game of the season. I expect him. He'll bounce back this Friday, I think, in a big way against UNC. I'm not going to panic, though. Let's see what they do. They got a big chance this week. Campbell, obviously, tomorrow, and then the big series against Carolina this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned either, but the one thing I am concerned is about is the shortstop position. There's just hasn't been an answer at ECU for a while. Even with Joey Barini there, you weren't really confident. The last good or great ECU shortstop was Zach Agnos, and now he is a relief pitcher for the Colorado Rockies, which is pretty sick. But going into the first game, you had Colby Wallace moving him over from third, who is one of the best gloves in the country at third base, but at the plate, not the best. And then you move him over to shortstop, was not great. Move Burris over to third. Both of them could not make routine plays, as Cliff Godwin spoke this morning too about with Stephen Igo, and it not great in the field. They had four errors in the second game, 3 in the first game, just kind of kicking the ball all over the place. And then at the plate, they were so tight at the plate. You could see it. I don't know if that has influenced from Cliff Godwin, because Cliff Godwin does have major control of their plate approach. And losing the first game of the season, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 outs, full count, and you take it and look at, that's just not a good omen to start the season. Braxton and then hold on, before I get to your take, Braxton, they did have a nice response with Colby Weber did win game 3, true 6'7", true freshman. He did look really good in that game 3 to get 1 win out of there. But Braxton, going into the UNC series, what are your thoughts on East Carolina?
Yeah, I think you guys hit on a lot of good points there. I think there's not too much to worry about on the pitching side. I think that's one positive you can take away from this weekend. You know, you mentioned Colby Weber, the freshman arm, looking pretty good. Ben Kempen was solid. Norby, we know, is going to be solid most times going out. I think, you know, if you can find the right guys and the right fits offensively in that lineup, you know, ECU is going to be just fine. Obviously, it's tough going into next week when you're facing, you know, much better pitching in Carolina than Xavier. So you've got to find ways to generate runs. I think with ECU's decent pitching they showed this weekend, and Carolina's that we know, I think next week we're going to see a lot of low-scoring games, especially also being that both teams have 2 midweeks this week. So we're going to be able to see them 2 more times before next week. But I mean, look, if you're ECU right now, you got to be feeling real confident with your team still. It's week 1. Obviously, it's no time to panic, but you want to see your guys get some wins here early, because the schedule is not going to get easier, as we know, at least, you know, arguably until American play. But even conference play is always difficult in any conference. So just about figuring out your guys and your lineup, and especially like you mentioned, where they're playing on the field, Case, and I think that's big for ECU to figure out as quickly as they can where they want to put those guys on defense.
Yeah.
Look,
Clemson,
and I mean,
go ahead.
Look, and I mean, and Xavier's not a terrible series loss. I mean,
No.
Last year, you look, they were top 45 RPI. They've made the tournament over the past few years. They play another brutal non-conference schedule. I mean, this loss is not going to shoot them down in the RPI once that starts to matter more here in a couple months. So, I mean, they'll be fine.
Clemson sweeps Army. Had a little tough time in game 1. I think that's a little rough coming off a long break, first game of the season. But Nate Savoy,
Savoy. Yeah, something like that.
Nate Savoy had a fantastic weekend, going 8 for 11 with a home run, a double, and 7 RBIs, leading them to a sweep. But I just want to touch on how great it was. Clemson's tradition, I think, is in the 4th inning when they go out in the stands and shake hands with veterans. It was a really cool moment to see Army return the favor and do the same thing, which was super sweet. Just kind of went viral this week, and just wanted to touch on that and just how great of a moment that was. But Clemson gets the job done, shutting out Army in those last 2 games, Braxton.
Yeah, I came away very impressed with Clemson, especially from Saturday. I mean, Savoy was a monster. He's a Loyola Marymount transfer, can play outfield, can catch as well. This lineup is looking very dangerous. I know it's weekend 1, but when you look at what they have, you know, Purify, McClatty, Gerald is a returner. You have Clavin in center field, the Georgia transfer, Savoy, even guys like Crichton that have been there. This is a team that looks possibly like they mean business this year. Then Ty Daly as well, I didn't even mention, who didn't have the best start to his Clemson career, but we know what he's capable of. And then you pair it with their pitching was phenomenal. I mean, Kanak only went 3 innings, but he struck out 6. You know he's going to be fantastic all year for you on Friday nights. And then their 2 lefties, Sharman and LeGuernick, were absolutely phenomenal. We put them on the honor roll occasion this week. They were fantastic from the left side for Clemson, and like you said, blanking a solid Army team. They win and compete in the Patriot League every year. I was really impressed with them on Saturday, and I think they mean business this year, and I'm excited to see them this upcoming week. They've got Charlotte, and then obviously South Carolina is coming again 2 weekends. But yeah, I'm really impressed with what's going on down there early days in Clemson.
High Point gets a nice 2-1 series win over St. Joe's. Willie Ponce for High Point went 5 for 10, batting 500 on the weekend with a triple, a double, and 2 RBIs. And they also had Tyler Branchville, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts, 0 earned run, 2 hits, and a win. Really, really good there from the Panthers. North Carolina sweeps Reed in one of the most bizarre moments of college baseball so far. I mean, I'm not even going to say so far, bizarre moments in college baseball we've seen in recent memory. Reed, what am I talking about?
Yeah, that was, I don't know. Probably the first time I've ever seen something like that. Might need to check to make sure he doesn't have any money in his FanDuel account. But nevertheless, though, the UNC starting rotation was sensational. DeCaro, Lynch, and Boaz did their job this weekend. Forbes only had them pitch 5 innings each, but between the three of them, 15 innings pitched, 19 strikeouts, 7 hits allowed, 1 earned run. Matias returned. He faced a couple batters. He looked really good. Offensively, it's going to take time with this lineup. Gallagher, obviously, he hit solid this weekend. Winslow, he had the walk-off homer to cement the sweep. Eric Paulson had a good game in game 2. But yeah, very good start for the Heels.
Braxton, your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, obviously you're really happy to get that sweep. Indiana's a solid ball club. I know it's the Big Ten. But to sweep them at home, it's pretty much what you need to do if you're UNC, and they were able to do it. Obviously, that last play that y'all talked about was crazy. I was watching it live, and I mean, I just thought the game was over. Obviously, a ground ball to second base. There was a little bit of magic there just going on. Like UNC was getting runners on. I thought they might end up, coming back winning the game, and then obviously that play happens, and it was just like wow. And then Carolina does win it in extras. But yeah, I'm really impressed with what they were able to do. I mean, there's a freshman arm. Caden Glauber looked really, really good. I mean, this is what Carolina does. I mean, you look at last year, a couple freshmen just jumped off the charts early going, and then all of a sudden you feel like you're deeper than people would have thought. And the coaches know these things. Like Forbes knows who he's got, and obviously this kid's throwing 96. As a freshman, and he looked really, really good. McDuffie came in, did his thing. Lynch struggled a little bit in his start, but was able to settle in. So I expect this to continue for them. They've got 2 midweeks. We'll see who they throw against Richmond and Longwood, but obviously ECU coming up on the weekend for them. So definitely a great start to go 3-0.
Gardner Webb picks up a nice 3-1 series win on the weekend, which was big for them. Lots of runs scored this weekend. As you see on the graphic, they lose their third game 11-10, and then win the last one 12-1. Pretty ridiculous there. Want to touch on and shout out Jim Chester, head coach, for retweeting us, giving us follows and likes. Shout out him. They were led by Zach Thompson, who was 10 for 14, a triple, 2 doubles, 5 RBIs. Alejandro Sanchez, 7 for 10, 2 triples, 3 doubles, 6 RBIs. And Kelvin Augusto, 6 for 16, 2 doubles, 10 RBIs. Just absolutely slinging it all over the baseball field. Nice start down there in Boiling Springs. Rutgers beats your Cougars, Reed, who you were high on to start the season. Rutgers gets a huge win in game 2 there, 13-2, and then they win the series, win the rubber match 5-2. But Reed, what was going on in Charleston, sir?
Yeah, they really struggled. I talked about ECU struggles getting a timely hit. That was the same with Charleston this weekend. And then obviously, on these past 2 games here, you see that really struggled to pitch, especially that last game. So it was kind of a disappointing weekend from Charleston. Rutgers is not your perennial powerhouse team in the Big Ten, picked lower in the Big Ten. Big one coming up on Tuesday for Charleston against Coastal. So certainly not the start the Cougs wanted, but it's only week 1, so we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. Keeping it in the CAA, going down to Elon, right down the street from me, where I am. They get a nice sweep over Delaware. Not going to say Delaware is a formidable opponent, but Elon put up some runs, and in Game 3 they won 17-4, which is very, very impressing, and they were led by Vince Fattori, who was also CAA Player of the Week. As I saw, 4 for 5 home runs, 4 for 5 home run, 3 doubles, 3 RBIs. Nice start for them in Elon. And then Coastal Carolina does not give Fairfield the opportunity for a kind of get back from Fairfield, but they did struggle early in Game 1, Reed. But Braxton, as we see, Coastal's pitching is so much. But are you kind of shocked their offensive scores were not as high as they were, as they won Game 2 5-1 and Game 3 5-0?
No. Oh,
Go ahead, Reed.
Braxton. No. I mean, look, this Coastal offense last year, I mean, they were good, but they did not beat you with the long ball much. I mean, they're not the most explosive offense. They're going to rely on that pitching staff to carry. So I wouldn't be worried if I was a Coastal fan that it took the offense a little too long to get going on Friday night. And then obviously only scoring 5 runs each game against Fairfield in the doubleheader on Saturday. But, the pitching staff was sensational. Fairfield did get on fluky a little bit to start the game. But, Norman and Jones looked really good too. I mean, the fact that Coastal did even pitch Hayden Johnson, Ryan Lynch, and Carbone this weekend is just ridiculous. Darren Horn looked really good at the bullpen. So, yeah, I mean, this Coastal staff is just absolutely loaded.
Braxton, I'll let you take it, sir.
Yeah, I agree with Reed's point. I mean, this Coastal pitching staff might be even deeper than we initially thought, which is crazy because we already thought they were extremely deep. Like Reed had mentioned, Carbone and Johnson, Lynch not even throwing, and you see some freshmen they're rolling out here throwing in the mid 90s and striking decent batters out. Fairfield's a regional level team. I'm not too worried about the offense. Going back to your point, Kason, I think if you've got the pitching like you have in Coastal, scoring 5 runs a game like they did every game is going to win you quite a few ball games. I think they'd like to score a lot more runs than that, obviously, but I'm not too worried about it. I think they will start to see balls better as the season goes on, and that's a somewhat friendly offensive ballpark, if I'm not mistaken. So I think they're going to be fine. Just leaning on some of that experience in the lineup and what they've got, and they're going to be absolutely fine offensively. So no, I'm not worried about it. But for them to get a sweep right off the bat, really good for them. With their schedule coming up, as we know, it gets really tough really quickly. So.
Yeah, and Luke Jones, going to have it right here in front of me. Luke Jones with 4 1/3, 7 strikeouts, 0 earned runs, 3 hits. So really good for Coastal there to start the season off with a sweep.
Shout out the Coastal crowd on Friday night too. Setting huge crowd, setting the attendance record. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And my bold prediction did not hit. UNCG did not pick up a game versus Kentucky. I did have Kentucky in my Omaha 8. So I am high on the Wildcats this season, but they did not pick up a win. This is also a really tough way to start your season. So, I mean, I'm not going to hold it too much against them. They do go to Davidson on Tuesday, and then they host A&T at home on Wednesday. So hoping to get their first win there. And then Braxton, we have a new introduction to the Carolina Curveball power rankings in Western Carolina as they sweep George Washington. And Braxton, as we've seen, and this is year 3 of Curveball, the Catamounts can put up some runs, and they did this weekend. Yeah,
no, definitely. Obviously, two of those wins. George Washington's a good ball club. Not many people know that program too well, but they're solid. 2 of those wins were walk-off fashion as well. Noah Carlos didn't go through those walk-offs. One was a home run, one was a double as a pinch hitter, which is really good to see. He's a returning bat in that lineup. But, yeah, I'm high on this Western team. I picked them. One of my bold predictions was for them to win the SoCon. I think they're close to a regional level team this season with the arms they brought in. That was the other thing. A lot of the problems they had last season was not having those go-to arms. They put up a lot of runs, but they gave up a lot of runs too. And I think that they have that this year. They had a couple good arms. Carter Burnett and Mason Snyder were a couple notable ones that we threw out there in the honor roll that threw really well. So I think if they can look good on the mound, and the way they hit and win games. This is a really good ball club, and great to see them start off with a sweep. They play Upstate tomorrow, so that'll be a really interesting matchup to see what happens there in Spartanburg. But yeah, I'm very high on Western, and I think they're going to be in those rankings or right around them for a lot of the season. So.
And Charleston Southern was led by Kane Collins and Tyler Henshaw in a sweep over Bucknell Reed. Scored a good amount of runs here. You're high on the Buccaneers this season. They win game 2 11-1 to clinch the series, then win 8-5 to sweep the series. Kane Collins was 5 for 11 from the plate, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, 5 stolen bases. Very, very impressive. And then Tyler Henshaw, 4 and a third, 9 Ks, 1 earned run, 2 hits, and the win to lead them over a sweep over Bucknell Reed.
Yeah, great start for Charleston Southern. I said going into the season, they returned a decent amount of production from that team last year, winning record last year, obviously getting all the way to the Big South Championship. I think they have the potential. I think they could be that number 4 team in the Big South this year, obviously behind High Point and Upstate and Winthrop. But it's a great start. Sweep to start the season. You got to be very excited if you're a Charleston Southern fan.
Yep. And Campbell drops the series to Cal Poly, but they do win game 1 thanks to Grubich 4 Ks, 5 2/3, 1 earned run, and then Jet Music with the save to get the first win. But then they drop game 2 16-5, not ideal whatsoever, and then drop the rubber mats 4-3, which was a doubleheader. So also most of these, there were 22 doubleheaders in the Carolinas on Saturday. So also it is the first this is the first weekend of the season having all these doubleheaders for these teams. It does kind of throw the script off, but Braxton, on Friday night we were like, oh boy, is Campbell back? But then that first game Saturday, losing 16-5 was not ideal, and then losing the rubber match 4-3 in a tough one, just very unfortunate for the Camels.
Yeah, I agree. I was really high on them beginning of the season. I still am. They're also in my bowl prediction. I think they're a regional team this year. And they beat a regional level team in Cal Poly Friday night. Unfortunately, Cal Poly came to play that next game, but it's another 1-run game in game 3. I mean, they were that close to winning that series, and we'd be having a lot different conversation already. I think they're still right there. I have them really honestly close to the bubble of the rankings as well. If they can get some big marquee wins, I mean, if they beat ECU Tuesday night, that's a good start to that. Yeah, the key for them, like I mentioned before the season, Oster and Morton, really good returning bats, by the way, who did hit well most this weekend. But the key for Campbell is to find that pitching rotation for me. That's where they've been struggling the last couple years in the CAA, especially. So I think that's where they need to really find their guys and see who they can trust to go out there and get outs. Obviously, Cal Poly's a good team. They've got another great team coming in this week, or I don't know where it's at, but they play Troy.
At Troy.
At Troy, so that's a tough series right off the bat as well. But they're testing themselves early, which is what a good regional level team does, and I think that will eventually play well down the road for them when they get to conference play because of this tough non-con schedule.
Reed, did you have any comments on the Camels, sir?
No, I came away this weekend impressed by them. Obviously being down the past 2 years, Cal Poly is a really good team, NCAA regional team, Omaha sleeper. Great win on Friday night. We know this Cal Poly offense can really hit the ball. I think Braxton touches on it. If Campbell can just pitch the ball a lot better than they have the past 2 years, I think with their offense, I think they can find their way back into the NCAA tournament.
Winthrop picks up a nice series win over Georgetown. They do win the first 2, drop for the sweep against Georgetown. Braxton, your former coach, Winthrop, nice series win to start the season. In game 2, they won 13-3. It was really cool to see those guys pick up a nice win. Looking to see some of their highlights right now. We had Luke Earnhardt, 5 innings, 8 Ks, 0 earned runs, 5 hits allowed, and a win. Just really nice there for the Eagles to start the season.
Yeah, Absolutely. They also moved into the rankings at number 12.
Correct.
So that I think, they did drop game 3, unfortunately, but still a good series win, and they look really, really good as well. And um, some people think they could give State a good game here in the midweek. So we'll see how they play at Doak. Um, I may even try to go see that one if I can, but we'll see. Yeah, Winthrop's looking good. I think they're a threat in the Big South. There's no doubt.
A&T drops the series to Northern Illinois. They also did play today. They did drop it today when they lost 6-5. So not the best start for A&T, but they have an opportunity to respond this week. Presbyterian split the series with Akron. They played a 4-game series, split it. They had some pretty highlight guys that I want. They had a guy I want to mention. Amon Dewberry went 7 for 17 with a home run, a triple, and 7 RBIs. Split isn't the worst thing in the world. You didn't lose, you didn't win, but you definitely want to take advantage. South Carolina does not sweep Northern Kentucky. Reed, were you shocked that it wasn't a sweep, or did this come as expected? As I don't even know how to say their mascot. The Norse, was it the Norse?
Norse.
But Norse.
The Norse,
So
yeah.
the Norse win game 3, 3-2 over the Gamecocks in Columbia.
Did it surprise me? No. I mean, if you're a South Carolina fan, I mean, you would have thought the world had ended. Just reading some of their comments, but they didn't look the best this weekend. Maneri had some really interesting comments too about his team after the loss on Saturday, that they were tired from the night before playing 18 innings, which is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, you had played first game in 8 months, and you're saying your team was tired. Certainly an interesting comment, but pitching wise, Riley Goodman, the redshirt freshman, he looked solid for them on Friday. Josh Gunther out of the bullpen was really good for them too. 7 strikeouts. And Tyler Back, the Wofford transfer, swung a pretty good bat. We'll see. Amp Phillips too. Amp Phillips had a solid game too on Saturday. So I mean, it's going to take a lot and for South Carolina, but especially with SEC play next month starting, and then Clemson here in 2 weeks. This is a chance for them to really build up their record and get off to a good start and build some confidence.
Wilmington drops the series versus Maryland. They drop the rubber match as former ECU transfer Lance Williams, Reed, back in North Carolina, takes down the Seahawks in a very nice outing. He was really good for the Terrapins. Reed, just kind of what does this mean for Wilmington as I pull up Lance's stat line, because I did have it in my phone.
Yeah, I mean, Marshburn, he pitched a solid game for Wilmington on Friday night, but he was kind of outdueled there by Lance Williams, the ECU transfer. I really didn't think Maryland would be that good this year, but that's a good start for Maryland to go down to Wilmington. Wilmington's always a tough place to play. Kind of disappointing start though from Wilmington, in my opinion.
Yeah, Lance Williams did get the start Friday night. Went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 6 Ks, and the win. So really nice start for them. And then Wilmington, like you said, does not get the series win. Disappointed. I think most of us picked Wilmington to win the series, so not ideal for sure. Liberty, go ahead, Reed.
Yeah, I mean, I was worried more offensively about Wilmington after all the key pieces they lost in that lineup. And I mean, as you can see in that rubber match there, only scoring 1 run against Maryland's not going to cut it.
No. Citadel drops the series to Liddell. Low scoring affair all weekend, Braxton. Your thoughts on the Citadel?
Yeah, I think it's same old problems for Citadel. They just struggle to hit, to generate runs, I'll say. I think they just have lacked power in recent years. It seems like they still are. They've got Will Holmes, who pitched okay. He worked through some struggles in that first outing. I think he gave up 6 runs or so. But Liberty's a good team. You almost won the series too. It could have gone either way. I think Citadel, there's some people high on them this year. I'm a little lower than some other people, I think, on them, just because I think that if you can't generate a lot of runs like some of these other teams like Western and Winthrop can, I think you're going to find it hard to win a lot of games, even if you do have a lot of good pitching. So we'll see how they could bounce back this week. They don't play a midweek, I don't believe, so they will be kind of focusing on their next match, their next series next weekend. But yeah, a good win for Liberty, though. I think for them to go on the road to Charleston and find a way to win that series. It's one of the only series that actually played out to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, good win for Liberty.
Wake Forest opened the season with Houston, opened the 2026 college baseball season with kind of a dud read versus Houston, losing 8-2, but they did respond with a 5-0 win against Wake Forest on Saturday into Sunday, and then Sunday they defeated Indiana State 10-1. So nice response from Wake Forest there, Reed, but to start the year a dud, losing 8-2 to Houston.
Yeah, Friday was kind of a shock. Morning Star really got roughed up, which I was not expecting to see. But Saturday and Sunday they really responded. Chris Lavonis, am I saying that right, Brexton?
Yeah, Lavonis, I believe.
Lavonis, yeah, out of the bullpen, 3 2/3, 9 strikeouts. He was sensational. Then Matthew Dallas pitched really well too. 4 innings, 7 strikeouts. Cade Lewis did his thing at the plate. So in all, it's not a terrible weekend for Wake as they were able to salvage those last 2 games.
I will say Houston was the surprise team of that Puerto Rico tournament. I think they ended up going 4-0, which was a bit of a surprise for some. So, yeah, like you said, a bit of a dud to start things out, but like Reed said, they salvaged it, and they're gonna be just fine. I think if they've got Dallas, Morningstar, and Lavonis, and they haven't even thrown Cam Bagwell yet as well, which we talked about. So they're gonna be fine.
Braxton, your alma mater drops the series to South Alabama this weekend. This is a tough series, I think, in my opinion, to open up with, but they did win the second game 10-7, but did drop the rubber match 7-3 to drop the series. They did have some good highlights in between there though, but overall, Braxton, your thoughts on the Spartans?
Yeah, tough series. They play a lot of series on the road here early in the season. Like we've talked about, they go down to Texas. They play some tough midweeks. They go to Georgia this week. Um, it's going to be tough going at the beginning of the year for Upstate, but I think that's good for them in the long run. It will allow them to test themselves, see what they have, see who can kind of throw big innings for them in leverage situations. I think that's where they struggled mostly this weekend was some arms out of the bullpen. They gave up too many home runs to South Alabama. But you still had a chance to win the series, and they were down 7-0 on day 3. They tried to claw back a little bit. I think they lost 7-3. And Kane Sweeney actually got tossed in that game 3, had a bit of an altercation. I think he was arguing balls and strikes or something. And then the other coach, they kind of got into it a little bit. So interested to see what happened there. I might text some of my buddies to see what happened there. But yeah, you've got a tough week coming up because you've got Western at home, and then you go to Athens and play Georgia. So you've got to find a way to find some success in those 2 games before next weekend, where you host the Spartanburg Classic.
Just a phenomenal opening weekend in college baseball. Just phenomenal, even outside the Carolinas. Reed, you came over Friday. We were watching games outside the Carolinas. It's so good to be back. Love college baseball. And really looking forward to this week. Really want to put an emphasis this season. Me and Braxton and Reed were talking just on the midweek this year because it is, we want to call it midweek madness because it really focuses on all the Carolinas playing each other each and every week, which is huge because you really get to see how these teams match up. Granted, you're not seeing the Friday night guys go up against each other, but still, it's so good to see these teams play against each other, Reed.
Yeah, that's what makes the Carolinas so special, having so many teams and then having great matchups throughout the season on Tuesday and Wednesday is what makes it awesome.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that. And this afternoon, our power rankings were published this morning. They were in great discussion late last night on the movement, who drops, who goes up, who comes in. So for those listening right now, I'm going to read it off for you. For those watching, it is now on the screen. At number 1, we have Coastal Carolina, who is 3-0 on the weekend with a sweep over Fairfield. At number 2, we have North Carolina 3-0, no change. Also, no change to Coastal. I should have said that. So 1 and 2 have not changed. North Carolina with a sweep over Indiana. NC State 2-0, and Puerto Rico stays at number 3. Clemson stays at number 4 with a sweep over Army. Wake Forest stays at number 5 with a 2-1 week in Puerto Rico. Duke at number 6 jumps East Carolina after going 3-1 against Maine. Did drop 1 win against Maine as Corey Muscara begins his career in Durham. East Carolina drops 1 spot to number 7, going 1 and 2 versus Xavier, dropping the series. They face Campbell and Northern Illinois this week, so an opportunity to pick up 2 wins there before a very tough weekend versus North Carolina Chapel Hill. 8 is South Carolina. They stay there at 2-1, dropping 1 game to Northern Kentucky. Charlotte stays at number 9, going 1 and 2 versus San Diego. Number 10, High Point, 2-1, moves up 1 spot. And new into the rankings is Western Carolina at 3-0 and Winthrop at 3-0 as well. Guys, go ahead. Sorry, Winthrop's 2-1. I apologize. Yeah. Guys, your thoughts on the Curveball power rankings?
Reed, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's week 1. There's not going to be that many drastic changes. We touched on it. I think the top 4 teams all looked really good this weekend. ECU is not going to be punished for losing to a good Xavier team. So that's why you see them only dropping 1. Charlotte 2, losing to a good San Diego team. But yeah, no, then it's good to see Western Carolina get back in the rankings. I think they were in it. They were in it at one point last year, if memory serves correct. Then Winthrop obviously making their debut. So I mean, as time goes on, you'll start to see some more dramatic changes. But losing a series first weekend is not going to cause too much hiccup.
And I did not mention that 2 teams dropped out of the rankings, which put Western Carolina at 11 and Winthrop at 12. Charleston at 10 after dropping the series to Rutgers fell out of the rankings, and Wilmington dropping the series to Maryland fell out of the rankings. Braxton, your thoughts on the rankings, sir?
Yeah, I'm also really impressed with what the top 4 did. I think those 4 could go in any order right now. Obviously, they all stay the same. We're not going to punish anyone. I mean, they all won their games, but I just think that those 4 teams are really, really the elite teams right now. Wake's right there. Duke looked good. They did drop a game to Maine, which we talked about. But I think just being able to win 3 games in a weekend when you play 4 is always really good, no matter who you're playing. ECU, they only dropped 1. I think that if maybe Charlotte or South Carolina if South Carolina would have swept or Charlotte would have won that series, there could have been an argument there for them to move ahead of ECU as well. But again, ECU played a good Xavier team, like we've mentioned, and they're going to bounce back fine, in my opinion. Especially, I mean, they could go and beat Carolina next week, and then we'll have a real think about how we want to do that. But High Point, they did drop a game 3. They move up 1 as a result of some other teams moving down, kind of helping them out to move up. And then Western Winthrop, we thought that collectively, we thought those were kind of the best 2 teams of the teams that were just on the outside looking in from the weekend. So they move into the rankings.
Really looking forward to seeing how these shake out the rest of the season. As you kind of said, East Carolina, one of 3 teams to take a drop as well. Charleston, Wilmington not on here anymore, but ECU drops 1 spot because of the loss to Xavier. But like you said, Braxton, major opportunities for them to bounce back as we get into the midweek slate. I'm going to read off. We do not have a graphic. I apologize. We'll be publishing it tonight and posting it in the morning, called Midweek Madness, as well as incorporating it on our Instagram stories, wanting you guys to have your input, put your picks. So please interact. We love it. So to start off, we have Western Carolina at USC Upstate at 3 p.m. You can find that on ESPN+. You have App State at Duke at 4 p.m. on ACC Network Extra. You have Charlotte at Clemson, 4 p.m. ACC Network Extra. That one I am very intrigued about. Charlotte at Clemson. Looking forward to seeing what arms both of those teams throw. College of Charleston at Coastal Carolina, 4 p.m. ESPN Plus. Presbyterian at Elon, 4 p.m. Flow Sports, and then High Point at Wake Forest, 4 p.m. AC Network Extra. I want to take a break here of those first couple games. Read which ones catch your eye.
Obviously, I think I'm most excited probably for the ECU Campbell game. How will ECU bounce back? We know their track record at Campbell. I mean, when's the last time they won out there? Kason, 2022, was it?
I could not tell you, bro. They have not won since I've been in college. Since I was in college.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time they won at Campbell. Campbell loves when the Pirates come to town. So I mean, that's going to be must see to watch. Not living in Eastern North Carolina anymore, so I might be having to buy Flow Sports tomorrow night. We'll see, though. Then I've also got my eye on can Charleston bounce back. They're going to have their hands full tomorrow against Coastal, but I want to see how they respond.
Braxton, of the games I mentioned, the first half of the games, which one catches your eye, sir?
Yeah, Tobin just couldn't wait to talk about ECU Cable.
Could not wait. He was too excited. he was finger on the trigger.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Western Upstate. I was going back and forth on choosing this game. Obviously, I want Upstate to win. They always play us really tough from when I remember. I remember in my year we went to extras with them, and then they came to our place and whooped us. I'm really high on this Western team, like I mentioned tonight, and then obviously I'm really high on Upstate as well. So I think right off the bat at 3:00 tomorrow, that's a really good ball game. I'm also excited to see Charlotte head to Clemson. I think Clemson looked fantastic on the weekend, that as we talked about. Who they will throw, I'm not sure, but can Charlotte kind of put themselves on the map early with, a little shock to Clemson? That would be really interesting to see if they can do that, and I think they're capable of doing that. Although we'll see, Clemson's looking really, really good with that lineup, so it could just be all Tigers as well. And then I'd say maybe High Point Wake as well. You could have a little surprise there as well with Wake struggling a little bit. Maybe we see Cam Bagwell throw tomorrow against High Point. I'm not sure. But that's a tough lineup to face if you're Bagwell. You're coming from Wilmington. You're used to facing kind of lineup similar to High Point, I would say. So that would be an interesting matchup to see if that is the pitching matchup we get. But those three are the most I'm looking forward to from that list.
And of those first few matchups that I listed, all within Carolina teams, which is super special to me. Love it. The next one I'm going to talk about, Asheville at Tennessee, 4 p.m. SEC Network Plus. Good luck, fellas. Richmond.
I'll tell you what, on Tennessee, I think it's Blaine Brown. Yeah. He had like 3 bombs. Just everything he hit was like 100+ exit velo. That dude is looking unreal. He's a Rice transfer.
Yeah, I remember last year at one point, guys, when Asheville played at Tennessee, they play there every year. At one point, Asheville had a lead kind of middle, and we were all texting, oh. And then we blinked, and I think Tennessee put up 8 runs in an inning. We're like, oh, well, they had us in the first half. So good luck, Bulldogs. But Richmond at North Carolina, 4 p.m. ACC Network Extra. As Reed mentioned, East Carolina at Campbell, 5 p.m. Flow Sports. And if you are in Eastern North Carolina, you can get this game on WICTN. I think that's how you pronounce the TV station. So, Reed, we might be setting our locations to Greenville so we can get it, but we shall see. UNCG at Davidson, 5:30 p.m. UNCG sounds sad saying this, don't want to say it, but UNCG is the only team in the Carolinas without a win, so they have an opportunity there to pick up a win versus Davidson, 5:30 p.m. on the Plus. South Carolina at Wofford, 5:30 p.m. ESPN Plus. Give me Terriers money line if that line is somewhere. I think Wofford gets a win here. Just going to go ahead and say it bold. Charleston Southern at North Florida, 6 p.m. No broadcast, unfortunately. And then this is what the people are wanting right here. Radford at Queens, 6 p.m. You can find it at Queens Sports Network. Absolutely electric. Reed, of those bottom half games that I mentioned, which ones are you looking forward to?
Probably the South Carolina Wofford game. I think that's a really tricky matchup for South Carolina. Obviously Wofford coming off the sweep this weekend. South Carolina not looking the most impressive. I think they're going to have their hands full tomorrow night. I think it should be a really good game.
Braxton.
Yeah, I like that call. That game is at the newer field in Spartanburg. I think it's a kind of a newer park. There will be a lot of Gamecock fans there for sure. Um, I'm interested to see how Carolina responds after getting their sweep. They've got Richmond and Longwood the next day, so two Virginia teams coming to town before they play ECU. Um, Historically, Carolina's been a pretty solid midweek team. They don't slip up too much in midweeks, I would say, at least in the years we've done Curveball. But yeah, we'll see how they look tomorrow. I think I want to see if I want to see anything from them this week. I want to see some run production going into the weekend. Just show me that you can hit the ball 1 through 9, and I'll feel a lot better about them going into the weekend. So yeah, I would say those two, and then Charleston Southern going to North Florida as well. I played at North Florida. That's a tough place to go and win. They're not the best team, but it's an interesting little ballpark down there in Jacksonville. So I'm interested to see if they can go down there and get a win.
And I have my eyes on East Carolina at Campbell, of course, as ECU grad. I'm a big ECU guy. Brett Antolik, A&M transfer, sat out the year last year with injury. He is going to open the game for the Pirates as an opener, Cliff Godwin says, but I think if he pitches well in the first inning, he will extend it, I think. Me and Reed were texting, just going to straight up say it. I think Antolik goes 3 shutout innings or does not record an out. He has not pitched in over a year and a half. He's come back from injury for a long time. So, and then also Campbell has a very, very tough place to play. ECU does not play well there. Also looking forward to seeing if UNCG can pick up a win versus Davidson. And like you said, outside of East Carolina and Campbell, for me, I'm looking at Charlotte and Clemson, as well as Western and Upstate, and South Carolina and Wofford. Like I said, I like Wofford there, and I'm really looking forward to that Western Upstate game. Braxton, will we see a 20 total run game?
I think you definitely can, especially with some of the arms that'll throw for both teams. I think they're going to be trying guys out, a lot of different arms, so you could see up to 10 different pitchers in tomorrow's game out is what I'm going to say. Like, I remember we played Western. It was like my only start in the outfield in my college career, and they were hitting absolute nukes at our park. And now our park's even smaller. So I think we will see a lot of runs tomorrow. I do believe that. Maybe the over in play there if that line's available.
And I'm also looking forward to these next 2 days. I'm going to get into the Wednesday slate here in a second, but you really said it right there, Braxton. Just a lot of these teams are trying out new guys. As I don't know about who's starting for most of these teams, but I know that ECU starting Brett Antolik, and he's pretty highly anticipated for ECU. And I think there'll be a lot of other arms that are highly anticipated for these other programs, seeing them for the first time in whatever team there's in uniform. So I just think, Reed, this time of year, teams are trying to figure out their rotation, figure out their bullpen, and we're going to see a lot of new faces and really see what these guys are made of. Because, Reed, as we listed off these matchups, there are some really tough matchups here. I mean, like we said, Western and Upstate, App Duke, Charlotte Clemson, Charleston Coastal, Presbyterian Elon, High Point Wake, ECU Campbell, South Carolina Wofford. I mean, these teams are going to have to figure out their guys quick and who can perform and who cannot.
Yeah, you said the best there. I mean, teams are going to be experimenting, but I mean, if you're not bringing your game, I mean, you're going to get rocked. I mean, all these teams can hit the ball really good. So it'll be fascinating to see tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to watching tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to see some teams get exposed. We're going to see some teams shine light in the moment. So that is the Tuesday slate, February 17th. Now we're going to go on to the Wednesday slate. We don't have too many games. We have 7 games. We have Winthrop at NC State at 3 p.m., ACC Network Extra. We will touch on that one in a second. I'm going to read off on these. USC Upstate at Georgia, 3 p.m. in SEC country on SEC Network Plus. Northern Illinois at East Carolina, 4 p.m. ESPN Plus. Gardner Webb at South Carolina, 4 p.m. SEC Network Plus. NC A&T at UNCG, the Battle of Greensboro, 4 p.m. ESPN Plus. Should I pull up that one, guys? I should, honestly, since I'm a almost Greensboro resident.
Yeah, I think that's a great name to go to, honestly.
Longwood at North Carolina, 4 p.m. ACC Network Extra, and Merrimack at UNC Wilmington, 4 p.m. on Flow Sports. And guys, something else I want to touch on. This is a quick turnaround for the few programs that are playing back-to-back games. I mean, going from the off season to then five games in a week. These arms are just getting warm. It's also still cold outside. I'm not going to say it's brutal cold, but it's definitely not warm. So, Braxton, just as the former player, just what kind of toll is that? I mean, you really have to ramp up quickly, and what kind of effect does that have on a team?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, when you have 5 games in a week, 5 game days in a week, it's a lot of moving parts. I mean, you're seeing a lot of action every day. A lot of different guys, especially early in the year, like we mentioned, like you're going to see a bunch of different guys tried out, hitters and pitchers. Um, I think that this is kind of a chance for teams to really see what they have especially in like bullpen / midweek type arms. I think they kind of know what they have on the weekends, especially after going through a weekend and ramping up through that all preseason with who you're going to throw on the weekends. But yeah, I mean, these are important games. Like, don't downplay these games at all. I mean, when Winthrop goes to NC State, that's a big opportunity for them. When when Upstate goes to Georgia, that's an opportunity for them. So you want to see what you have, yes, but you also want to try to win these games because those wins will matter when it gets down to RPI and it gets down to, possibly having an at-large bid if you can't win your league. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of that weird dynamic of college baseball. Like, yes, midweeks you want to see what you have. You want to, you're not throwing your main arms because those are weekend guys, but you've got to hit and you've got to figure out ways to win these games. And it's why we call it midweek madness. We see an upset. We're going to see an upset tomorrow. I don't know who it's going to be. It may not be in the Carolinas. There will be a major upset in the nationally. Maybe it will happen in the Carolinas. So we'll see.
Reed, are you calling an upset on Wednesday right now?
I mean, I think certainly Winthrop has the potential on Wednesday to win at State. State, maybe they'll have a little lag jag coming back from Puerto Rico. Still thinking they're jet lag. Yeah, excuse me.
Lag jag.
Yeah, a little jet lag. I mean, they still might think they're on island time. I mean, Winthrop's a really good team, so.
Yeah, and hopefully they didn't spend too much time with Bad Bunny down there in Puerto Rico. And they're not sort of dancing on their way back to the States. I'm gonna call an upset right now. Gardner Webb at South Carolina. South Carolina goes 0-2 in the midweek, and the wheels are just falling off. The wheels are falling off the Maneri train.
I can't even imagine the South Carolina fan base if that were to happen.
Well, Reed, we're finna see a generational day on Twitter Wednesday if that happens. Braxton, Upstate at Georgia, very, very tall task. What are you looking to see from the Spartans in that one?
Yeah, Georgia's a very good team. We did see Wright State get a game off them. Yes. I believe it was Sunday. So, kind of take that blueprint if you're Upstate. Obviously, you play Western tomorrow. So, I don't know if Georgia has another game tomorrow, but if they don't, that's going to be very tough for Upstate to go down there and beat them in Athens. We did play at Georgia my year that I played at Upstate, and it's a beautiful park. They've got frat row and right field. It's pretty cool. So, I'm sure they'll be out and active on Wednesday afternoon. So we'll see how Upstate can do there, but that'd be awesome if they pull that off. I would be all for that.
Cannot wait for midweek madness. And like I said, be on the lookout for our socials on Instagram and on Twitter. Please interact. We have a lot of fun stuff in store for you. And fellas, I think this is a great show. We recapped the weekend that was, talked about our power rankings, as well as preview the midweek. I don't want to get into the weekend right now because we do have a show on Thursdays, so we will talk about that then. But really just want to discuss midweek and put an emphasis on our little midweek madness we kind of want to touch on. We're going to do some hashtag midweek madness to kind of put some emphasis on that because it is within the Carolinas. But fellas, it's going to be a big next 2 days. Lots of midweek madness. Thank you for showing up. Reed, any lasting comments, sir?
No, I think it was a great opening weekend. The weather looks really good. Fingers crossed for this upcoming weekend. So a little warmer, and it should be a great day tomorrow too. Midweek Madness.
Braxton, sir, to sign off.
Yeah, same thing. This will kind of be the blueprint, I think, for these Monday shows, like you said, Casey, going through the weekend. Talk about the. It's really nice that we'll be able to talk about the power rankings now as they come out. Whereas before last year, we were kind of having to talk about them on Thursday after midweeks had happened and things like that. So I definitely like this, and then we'll have another show Thursday previewing the weekend. I know we won't preview the weekend right now, but Casey, do you want to give everyone a little idea of what our weekend plans are? At least for me and you, and I think Reed too will be there. Hopefully.
Yeah, we have a big weekend plan. Really, really looking forward to it, Braxton, as East Carolina plays North Carolina. And one of my favorite series are honestly in the whole country because they play in 3 locations and mix it up each year. This year, ECU will host North Carolina on Friday, and me and Braxton will be in studio in Greenville at 94.3 The Game with Philip Pilkington, Bobby Harward, and Hoist the Colors Stephen Igo for a nice live show in studio, which is going to be pretty sweet leading up to the game. And then me and Braxton will be in attendance for the game Friday night. Really going to be a ruckus atmosphere down there in Park Leclerc. Cannot wait. And then Friday, we will be at the Durham Bulls Athletic Park.
Saturday.
Yes.
What did I say?
Friday.
Whoops. Friday will be in Greenville. Folks, baseball season all matches together. Saturday, we will be live in Durham. Come see us. Come say hi. And rumor has it Reed will be doing a live dip and dodge challenge at the Durham Bulls game. So be sure to tune in for that. We will be doing some different content, food content, maybe some TikTok, having some fun. So if you see us out there, say hey. Really, really looking forward to this weekend. Cannot wait. And then lastly, the last game on Sunday. I think you two are probably going to in Chapel Hill versus ECU, if I'm not mistaken.
We'll see. Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, 50-50.
Yeah.
So we will definitely see about that, but we will get more into that matchup on the Diamond more on Thursday for our recap show. But guys, like I said, please follow, like, and subscribe. We just hit 2,500 on X as we're doing this show. I am so grateful for that. We also hit 300 on Instagram. I am beyond blessed. We are so grateful, so thankful for all the support. We would not be here without you guys. So please like, follow, subscribe, comment, tell us it's bad, tell us it's good. We love all the engagement. We love all the support, all the criticism. So be on the lookout for Midweek Madness tomorrow and Wednesday, as well as other content. And yeah, thank you for listening. If you're listening on Spotify, and thank you for watching on YouTube. Peace.